Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are, and welcome back to Papa-Norr's Story Time. My name is Papa-Norr. So far we have brought you the first book of the year 2023, the month of January, and the first book was Mama's Amazing Cover Cloth by Ruby Yayira Goka. Ruby has many other books, which we'll be bringing to you later on. But this is the second book that I'm about to read to you, and the book is entitled The Mystery Door by Geogratis M. Simba. The Mystery Door by Geogratis M. Simba. If peradventure a friend, a family member, a colleague pointed you in the direction of this book reading channel, welcome to Papa-Norr Story Time. Listen, subscribe, click on the notification button, and share it. I'm glad that all those who have subscribed are enjoying the books so far. Your comments have been so encouraging, and the interaction has been so very much encouraging. Thank you very much. So today we are reading to you The Mystery Door by Geogratis M. Simba. It's a Tanzanian author, and as you know, we are trying to bring to you a spectrum of authors all over Africa, and if possible, outside of Africa. So the book is The Mystery Door. Let's get into it, shall we? An old Temi means king. An old Temi realizes that he has become too old to lead his people. One of his two sons, with contrasting behaviors, has to succeed the throne. The successor has to pass a test imposed by customs and traditions of the Wabendi people. It is a struggle that has to be won. Who will come up a winner? Let's read on and find out. Chapter 1. Kabendi was a small country along Lake Tanganyika. Its inhabitants engaged in hunting, while others engaged in fishing on the lake. It had a mountainous landscape with beautiful valleys covered by forests, and at different places covered with grass and scattered trees. Rivers were not lacking. There were all kinds of animals inhabiting the forest and the wilderness of Kabendi. For sure, the country had unspeakable beauty. For many years, the people of Kabendi lived in peace and tranquility under the leadership of their Temi, who was known as Kasisa. The Temi had become very old, and his health was no longer stable. At his old age, he was sick most of the time. The Temi had 3 children, who were now old enough to marry. The firstborn, who was called Mosi, was a great fisherman, and in times of war, he was an excellent fighter. He was, however, very talkative, full of arrogance, self-pride, and looked upon others. The second-born was the only princess, Wakasisa. She was extremely beautiful. It was said that there was no beautiful girl to liken her in the whole of Kabendi land, and even the neighboring ones. People praised her beauty in their numbers. In their evening talks by the fireside, when they were trading items at the marketplace, she was very beautiful. So beautiful. Sakunta was the last born. He was a hunter and a great fighter. People said there was no one in the whole land who could beat him in hitting a target. His aims never missed even a point. He was a quiet person and full of respect for everyone. The big and small people loved and admired him. The fence surrounding the Ikulu, that is the residence of the Temi Kasesa, had 7 doors. Each door stood on behalf of a god worshipped by the Kabendis. 6 of those 7 doors were being opened in turns. For each day, 1 door would be opened. The last door, the 7th door, which was much bigger than the rest, had never been opened ever since the children of Temi Kasesa were born. The door had a special task: to take in the new leadership and take away the old leadership. Chapter 2. After realizing that he had grown very weary and old and was no longer capable of carrying out his duties effectively, Temi Kasesa convened the Baraza, that is, the council of his advisors, elders of the chiefdom of Kabendi. The main objective of calling you here is to explain to you that I, your Temi, absolute ruler, have become very old. My ability to execute and implement decisions continues to deteriorate day after day. My health is continuously weakening. My days are numbered. I'll depart soon to join our ancestors, owners of this land, the land that we treasure for so much. He paused for a moment, cleared his throat, took in a deep breath, and continued. I have 3 children. 2 of them are males. One of the 2 has to inherit the throne after my departure. He paused, looked around, reading the faces of those who were there. You all know how we get our Temi in our land, because all of us here are advanced in years. The successor to the throne has to pass the test that I'll give him. You know the test: opening the 7th door. The one who would succeed opening it is the one who will become your new Temi. This has been the test practiced by our ancestors for ages and ages. Your Highness, said one Nzi Bunga, after he was allowed to speak by a hand gesture. Thank you, Your Highness, for communicating this to us. We still pray to Limba Iya Fipa, the god of health and life, to grant you good health and long life, so that you may continue enjoying your wisdom. He stopped in order to take a breath. I have one question. How can these young men open the door? You know very well that it has so huge a padlock that I don't think they will manage opening it. Nzi Bunga, responded the Temi. Your question is a good one. However, this is why we call this exercise a test. We want to get a Temi who is intelligent, charismatic, and wise. This test will help us find the person with these qualities. How do we cross-check on these qualities? There is no other way. Your Honor, we've understood what you have been telling us. Thanks to your wisdom that has guided you to make this decision. This is exactly what our customs and traditions direct, said Nzi Manyunya, who was the oldest in the whole Baraza. Baraza is the council. However, I wish to suggest that your throne may give you these 2 men the opportunity to choose 7 peers each, who, when times comes, they would form the Baraza of the Temi to be, he concluded. The meeting was called off, and the 2 young men, Mosi and Sankuta, were given the chance to choose their companions. Each chose 7 peers with great care. After that, They were given 7 days to make preparations before they go out to make sacrifices. Chapter 3. After the 7 preparations days had passed, Moses, who was the elder son of Temi Kasesa, in the company of his 7 companions, set out on 3 canoes that took them to the deep waters of Lake Tanganyika to offer their sacrifices. They were to stay on the lake for 7 days. While there, they met with many frightening incidents. In one incident, they saw huge fish with legs, just like human beings do. The fish were walking on the water, as if walking on the land. They were red-eyed. They came close to the boat and said, "Yoo-hoo! You are the ones who murdered our children, aren't you? You fish them with the small netted fishing gears, don't you? Today, it's your turn. Today, it's your turn. We are going to swallow you up. You'll see." Moses and his company were so terrified that they started shaking like leaves in the wind, except one young man who was called Kanjaja. He remained calm and did not shake. He knew that what was happening would pass without causing them any harm. He picked up a head of an antelope that he had brought with him and threw it onto the water. He poured a little blood onto the water. Immediately, after he finished doing that, the fish people disappeared. As if that was not enough, the 7th night of their stay on the lake, something big happened. Their canoes were thrown up without their seeing the one who did it. The canoes went up and up in the air. Then they started descending. Their tummies shrank. They thought their hand had come. They shouted loudly, "Mama! Mama! Mama!" and held themselves very firmly on the sides of their vessels. When they touched the water, their vessels sank. They went down and down and down into the dark depth of the lake. It was strange that they did not find it hard to breathe or talk. Kanjaja instructed his companions to close their eyes. They obeyed him immediately. Even Moses, the king's son, obeyed him. He had no option, and he was filled with terror. Kanjaja spat 7 times on his chest. He told his fellows to do likewise. He raised his hand, and at that very moment, the canoes started going down until they were at the normal water level. At dawn, Moses and his companions started going back home. They were quite afraid that more strange things could happen to them. Chapter 4. Sankuta and his group were in the middle of a dense forest known as Kasimba. Things were not easy for them. They had fought 3 leopards, and one of their companions was badly injured during the attack at the back of his head. Fortunately, Sankuta succeeded to kill all the leopards, and also he had knowledge of herbs that could cure his companions. At noon, when the sun was overhead, they sat under a tree in order to eat their lunch. The lunch was of dried salty buffalo meat. As they were eating, a sudden thud of a roaring lion reached their ears. All except Sankuta were deeply horrified. His companions, at the speed of light, climbed to the top of the trees that were close by. At the same speed, Sankuta drew his bow and arrow from his right shoulder and set himself ready to face anything. No sooner had he got prepared himself when he found himself facing a very strange creature. The creature looked completely like a lion from his waist, but downwards he had human organs. This surprised Sankuta, but he was not shaken. The two looked at each other, weighing each other down. They remained in their position for some time. Then a strange thing happened. The creature drew close to Sankuta with his right hand extended, as if wanting to shake his hands. At first, Sankuta hesitating, asked himself whether he should throw down an arrow at the creature. He, after a while, decided against it. Instead, he also extended his hand, believing that if things were to change, he would fight to save himself. They shook hands. The lion man smiled. The two shook hands, as if they were old friends. The lion man said, "For sure, Sankuta, you will be the new Temi of Kabende Kingdom. I know your wisdom, intelligence, and bravery. You fear nothing, and you're ready to do things that others wouldn't dare to. So don't you worry. You will pass the test without problem." Having finished saying this, he disappeared. The other youth who were on the tree climbed down. They were all afraid. They had heard the talk between the lion man and Sankuta. They gave him a big hug and respect normally given only to the king. They already considered him their Temi. Their journey back home was not a smooth one. It had rained a lot. And when they got to Mwese River, they found it filled with water at the point of flooding. They were to wait for the water to go down on its own. It would take them 2 or 3 hours or 2 or 3 days to cross. That meant they would be late for the test that was to be held the following day. They sat down and discussed what to do. They brainstormed for almost half an hour without getting an answer. Some suggested that they make a canoe for curving a tree trunk. Sankuta was quiet, thinking about something. Curving a canoe would take them several days to complete. Normally, a canoe floats because it has some space on it, and the tree trunk is normally a little bit dry. So he asked himself, if we are to take several dry logs and tie them together, can't we use them to cross the river? Would they sink? How long will it take us to get them and tie them together? I think it's worth trying. Sankuta was thinking about all these in his mind. He decided to share his plans with his companions. All agreed with it. They dispersed in order to get the logs, and after 2 hours they were back. They tied them together and made 4 paddles that they would use to push forward their vessel. The river apparently looked still on its surface, but that meant the water speed below was high. Sankuta instructed his companions to push the logs up to the point where the water reached their waist. After that, they all boarded onto the vessel. 4 of them were in command of the paddles. Sankuta instructed those paddling to go downstream first. The paddlers on one side should do the paddling. The vessel will start taking a turn, a U-turn, in fact. By so doing, they were able to cross the river without much difficulties. It was dusk when they got home. By then, the group of Mosi had already arrived home. Chapter 5. Temi Kasesa was very happy to see the youth of both groups had returned safely from their preparations. He told them to go and take a rest and be ready for the next day's test. On the following day, Temi Kasesa, the 2 sons, the whole group, advisory baraza of the elders, and the companions of the 2 youths gathered on the ground behind the Ikulu main building. The ground was at a distance of double the stone throw of a grown-up person from the 7th door. Temi Kasesa ordered Moses' group to be the first to advance toward the 7th door and open it. Mosi looked at the door. He was surprised that the test would be so easy. He ordered his companions to follow him. They started advancing towards the door as others watched them. When Mosi and his companions were about 25 steps from the door, they got the shock of their lives when the door began to grow eyes, a nose, a mouth, and ears. Gosh! They all stopped at the same time, as if they had agreed to do so. Mosi tried to convince his fellows to proceed, but they refused. Forgive me, but they refused. They told him, Mosi, this is impossible. How do you ask us to go while there is surely danger waiting for us over there? No, we can't. It would be better if we went back. Forgive me. It would be better if we went back. Mosi was disheartened as he lost all hope. He gave in to their request and started retreating. You are approaching a door, and the door is growing eyes, nose, ears. Isn't that scary? The other people who were looking at them were surprised to see them make a U-turn. They had not seen all that was happening on the seventh door. The Temi ordered that the group should be taken away from there into the main building of the Ikuru. He went in with them. He asked if they wanted to give the test a second try. Mosi replied, Your Honor, my dear father, I beg you to change the test for us. The one you gave to us is too tough. I confess that we have failed. The seventh door is full of danger, Father. The seventh door is full of danger, Father. There is only death there. We can't. Temi Kasesa looked at the son with fixed eyes. He said, he who wants to pick what is under the bed has to bend in order to get it. He who has to pick what is under the bed has to bend down to get it. Don't just look at things. You must know that they have been made. You must know that they have been made. There is no other. I, your father, and the Temi of this land went through the same test. The seventh door is the way to becoming a Temi. Since you failed the test, I have no other choice but to give the chance to your younger brother. He has to give it a try as well. If he fails, then the one who is going to marry your sister, Wakasesa, will have to go through the test first before getting married. Upon passing, he will be the next Temi. After that, the Temi went outside and commanded Sankuta's group to advance towards the door and open it. Like it was before, the other group stood at a distance looking at the young man. Sankuta brought his companions together. He gave them words of courage, saying, Compatriots, it's your turn. It seems the other group has failed the test. Do you remember the message we got from the lion man in the forest? Yes, we do, they responded. Good. We are the winners. Let's not agree to turn back. We must advance in spite of the dangers that will be ahead of us, right? All right, sir, they responded in unison and immediately started advancing towards the door. When they were at a distance of about 25 feet from the door, they were shocked to see the door growing eyes, a nose, a mouth, and ears. Sankuta, as he had not seen the threatening wonders increase his pace, Sankuta, as if he had not seen the threatening wonders increase his pace. The others also got even more courage and followed him. Horrifying things continued to happen. The door started burning. The fire was as huge as a very tall tree. They didn't mind. They proceeded. On and on they went. The wonders were invisible to all who were present. They were all filled with terror and worry. Would their children come out alive in all these terrifying things? Would they really manage to open the door, the seventh door? They couldn't get answers to their questions. Sankuta led his group passing through the fire that now surrounded them. When they were in the middle of the fire, Sankuta started a song. We shall win! We shall win! And win we shall. Let's go! Let's go! Forward! Let's go! We shall win! Let's go! We shall win! We shall win! We shall win! That is the song Sankuta sang. Let me see if I can create a song. We shall win! We shall win! we shall win. Let's go, let's go, forward, let's go. We shall win, we shall win, we shall win. Let's go, we shall win. His companions followed him. They sang the song in one voice. They were filled with great courage, and their morale increased. There was no more fear. They had decided to become winners, and now they had won. They took bravery steps towards the door. Then they came to the door. As they scrutinized it, the fire, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the ears all disappeared. Only the seventh door stood there. On it was a huge padlock, as big as a head of a grown-up person. It looked extremely strong. Sankuta and his companions were very surprised. They had never ever seen that kind of a padlock before. They wondered how they were going to open it. Sankuta took the padlock in his hand and started studying it. Then he decided to pull it. Alas, it opened. He took it out. He shouted at the top of his voice, "We've won! We've won! We are the winners!" His companions started pulling the door to open it. It was not easy, as it had stayed closed for many years. After some time, it became wide open. Temi Kasesa came running towards his son Sankuta. He gave him a huge hug, and it was strange. Despite his poor health and old age, he managed to carry Sankuta, his second son. It was not clear as to where he got the energy to do it. Father and son remained in that state for some time. Then they stopped and remained with their hands tangled. It was obvious that Temi remembered the joy he had felt when he was in his youth, when he succeeded to open the same door. Now, after so many years, one of his sons, his very own son, had succeeded in opening the seventh door the way he had done it years ago. He was thrilled with joy. He knew, however, that his days had now come to an end, but the joy he felt overcame the sorrow he had. This was the system of exchanging leadership in his country. Sankuta smiled. His father told him, "Congratulations, my son. You've passed the test. Bravo! You are now the new Temi of Kabendi land. I have to go in order to give you the opportunity to lead the people. Come, let's go, so that I can install you the right way." They left from the area. The 7 companions of Sankuta followed behind. They were filled with great joy. The other onlookers applauded and cheered. The voices and sound they made sent messages to nearby homes surrounding the Ikululu that the new Temi had been obtained. The women responded by giving beautiful ululations. Gomas began to sound. People ran towards the Temi Kulus. It was celebration, joy, celebration, ululations, songs, drum beats, etc., etc. The Ikulu suddenly became alive, so alive that all who were there were in a merry mood. What about Mosi? Of course, he was also happy for his brother, that his brother would be the Temi and would be among the advisors to the Temi. The people of Kabendi gathered at the square that was for holding various events, from meetings to celebrations. Temi Kasesa climbed on the platform in the company of Temi to be. The old Temi raised his voice and said, "My people, the brave people of Kabindaland, it is my great pleasure, my honor, something that I have dreamed of for a very long time, to present here before you your new Temi. The Temi who would lead, protect, and provide for you after me. He is no other but Sankuta." You all, ululations, drum beats interrupted his speech. People were dancing and were in a joyous mood. When they calmed down, the Temi continues. Yes, it is Sankuta, whom you all know, an unbeatable hunter, a sharpshooter, a person ready to try something new. He has succeeded to open the seventh door, the door of wonders, in accordance with our customs and traditions. This is how we get a new leader. Sankuta is the new Temi. He is going to succeed the throne and all the powers and authority that go with it. He stopped for a moment, took a deep breath, and continued. Therefore, I now hand him with my chair, my spear, my shield, my golden crown, and all the powers. I'm going to the land of our fathers to join with them. I'll pass through the seventh door, and once I pass through it, it will close behind me, waiting to be opened at the time of a new Temi is about to succeed Temi Sankuta. Goodbye. We'll not meet again in this life. I wish you all the best. Remember, you should remain united. Work hard. Work intelligently in order to make the land of Kabindi the best of the best in the world. You should protect the respect of every Kabindi blood and keep its natural wealth. Never give it away to foreigners. Never lose hope, for life is a battle that you must win. Success comes in only how hard you struggle. Goodbye. Temi Kasesa walked backwards for about 3 steps. He bowed before Temi Sankuta as a sign of respect. He turned and descended from the platform. He passed in the midst of the gathering. All were quiet, except for the subdued cries from several women. They knew that this was the last time they were going to set eyes on him. They loved him and respected him very much. He was their loving, brave, and caring leader. He was kind, generous, and wise. Temi Kasesa reached the seventh door, the door of wonders. All eyes were fixed on him, and he passed through the door and stepped onto the other side. The door began closing behind him. It had fulfilled its mission, ushering in a new leadership and taking out the old one. Death, birth, death. They never saw him again. So that was a folktale by the writer Deogratis Simba. So this book was written by Deogratis Simba, and it was published by Kuki Nayota in Dar es Salaam. And it's part of the African Books Collective. You can find this book on this following website: http://bit.ly/mystdor, and also www.mkukinanyota.com, cookienayota.com. So we can also see that this African story is quite prevalent in most African countries and also in West Africa as well, where there are tests that those who want to succeed or have to succeed the king will have to go through. So this is a similar story. Let me just add this, that Cookie Nayota, the publishers, they won the Bologna Fair winner of Best African Publishers from Africa, and it is important that I mention this because he's a popular writer, popular publishers, and they have won many awards across the globe. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. One more time, if you're new to Papa-Norr Story Time, I'd like to encourage you, watch the video, subscribe to the video, like it, click on the notification button and share it. Thank you very much for taking time to listen. I will see you on the other side of the next reading. My name is Papa-Norr.